We're shaking, folks. Back with another reaction, back with some acid-techno. And we're back with a track from the awesome and mighty Planet Techno label. Big shout out to Biri. There are now multiple sub-labels of Planet Techno, like Planet Acid-techno, and I think there's one that started more recently. And ultimately, Biri is involved in a number of labels and is sort of a guru within the acid-techno vinyl world of modern times, and has worked in conjunction with the all-time legendary label Stay Up Forever. Big shout out to Chris and Aaron. And yes, we're going to listen to a tune that's originally by my good friend Bad Boy Pete, who incidentally, if you haven't heard the story, I began doing reaction videos because I've talked to Pete a lot, not so much lately, but in previous years we used to talk a great deal, and he had mentioned that the way I talk about music, especially on Discogs, was worthy of translating to the YouTube venue. And so ultimately, even though I had only done DJ mixes on YouTube for like a decade before then, I decided to give it a shot, began doing some reaction videos for like trance and techno. It was a very fruitful experience, and eventually it led me to doing all the reaction work I do on this channel now. So Bad Boy Pete is the reason I'm sitting here, but we're not going to listen to his original version of Dub Signal from Planet Techno 7, as you can see here, and indeed as you can also see here, a lot of my Planet Techno collection is white label / test pressing, because I used to talk to Biri a lot on Facebook, and he would have a number of test pressing copies, and I often was keen to get a record even earlier than it would otherwise come out, so I would often order test pressings from him. So yes, a lot of my Planet Techno collection, and even some of the Planet Acid Techno collection, is in white label form. But as I said, we're not going to listen to the Bad Boy Pete original of Dub Signal, we're going to listen to the Biri and Geezer remix of Dub Signal. And ultimately, Biri and Geezer are a very prolific duo of, again, like the last decade or so. You know, Geezer's worked with a lot of people, meaning Guy McGaffer. He goes back to the early to mid 90s when the Stay Up Forever and, you know, Smitten and some of these legendary acid labels were getting their start. So he's one of the godfathers of the London / UK acid sound. Not only acid techno, but certainly in the 90s he made a lot of tunes, especially with Chalky, that were in the hard acid trance realm. But yes, in the last 10 years, one of the people that Geezer has worked with the most and done tracks with in, you know, a duo form is Biri, and they do a lot of remixes as well. So for me, this is maybe a contender for best track on Planet Techno. There's so many good ones, it's really hard to come up with a singular candidate for that title, but again, this is a brilliant remix of an already great original by Pete, and at some point soon we'll come back and react to the original. But yes, I did want to react to this once I looked on my YouTube studio and realized that I had not done so as of now, which is a crime. Now, this release, Planet Techno 7, which both the original on both sides is by Bad Boy Pete. The other side is I Love Drugs, with also a Biri and Geezer remix of I Love Drugs. But this is from 2015, so about a decade ago now. I think it was maybe a little bit later in 2015, so maybe, you know, like 9.5 years or so, but it's been almost a decade. Let's give it a listen. This is the Biri and Geezer remix of Bad Boy Pete's Dub Signal from Planet Techno 7 2015. I've talked about this in other places, but Geezer's productions have gone through what I would call sort of three main phases. Obviously there's variation within and across those three phases, but he had like a certain style in the 90s, and then in like the early 2000s he sort of shifted to a slightly different style, and then maybe the beginning of the 2010s he clicked into a production style which I think carries on to the present day, and this is indicative of what I consider like his third major phase. The kick drums, there's just a lot of telltale characteristics, and this one exudes the modern / third Geezer phase. That ride cymbal. rising, buzzing layer, but also the little chirp double accent. When it drops, it's fantastic. And then I think like a 64 later, the bass line, it adds an extra bit of oomph. And it's just... stupendous. Listen to that. One out, now. One out, now. Wait till the next time around and that layer kicks up. Some like depressurizing noises. Flawless, untouchable. Again, it's just brilliant. As I said, there's telltale, characteristically Geezer production there, but I will also give Biri a lot of credit in that the tunes with Geezer that Biri has done, they really do have their own sub-flavor of the Geezer sound. So in general, I think it's a very like avinit sort of acid techno, which, you know, there's different styles of acid techno even within the like London UK sub-flavor, and one of them is just the fast, you know, fist rocking, you know, get your feet moving on the dance floor style, the avinit style or avinit, and this is definitely very much in that vein. As I said, there's a number of brilliant tunes on the Planet Techno label overall, as well as the Planet Acid Techno sub-label, but this will always be a contender for me for the like stellar standout tune on the label. But to be fair, also the UFO label, which is another one run by Biri, excuse me, is populated almost entirely, at least in the early phase. I haven't checked in a little while, but the first like, you know, 9-10 releases from UFO, they're all like Biri and Geezer records. So, you know, you could pick any one of those out of a hat and it's on the same level, it's on the same tier. So again, big shout out to both Biri and of course Geezer. I've mentioned this in many places. When it really comes to acid techno and even acid trance, as I said back in the 90s, that's, you know, my absolute favorite. He's always going to be in the conversation, if not, you know, the final person that I choose for that mantle. So yeah, big shout out to Guy, big shout out to Biri, shout out to the entire Stay Up Forever collective universe, which is to say the nexus of labels that have been published and distributed by and or in relation to Stay Up Forever, the godfather of the London acid sound labels. And yeah, ultimately, as I said in another reaction I did this evening, I'm going to try to get back to a slightly higher percentage of acid techno and, you know, dance music, underground rave music reactions. Not to say that I will in any way be lessening the like regular music deep dives that I do, but you know, this was the original essence of my YouTube channel. I feel like it fell off a bit more than I intended it to, so I'm gonna try to get back to that. Do let me know what you think of this one. I will see you next time. Peace.